Hello guys, and welcome back to my booktube channel I Read a Little, and in today's video I'm going to be introducing my TBR for the Read-Eh-Thon, which is a readathon running from the 1st to the 8th of July, and it was created by, I have a list because there's so many people I can't remember all their names, so it was Lala, Ashley, Natasha, Zoe and Josie, I think she's called, from Scribbles Reads. I can't remember how you pronounce her name. I think that's all of them, and they've created this Read-Eh-Thon to celebrate and highlight Canadian authors and sort of give a nod to Canada in general and just expose people to more of Canadian books, basically. There are particular challenges that you have to meet, and I will list them and then go through the books that I am going to be reading for the readathon. I've just eaten like an entire Domino's pizza, so I'm feeling a bit bloated, I'm sorry. So I might be taking some deep breaths. I wanted to wear red as well because obviously we're celebrating Canada, but the only red shirt that I own is an oversized like checkered flannel shirt, and it is 29 degrees in England today, so I ain't wearing that. So yeah, it's not happening, I'm sorry, but you know, the red is here in my soul, the spirit of it. So yeah, just looking at the actual challenges that you need to complete, I think you actually only have to read like one book to participate in the readathon / complete the readathon, but there are challenges that you can do if you want to. So those are to read a book with red on the cover, I'm just looking at the list, read a book with E and H in the title for the part of the readathon. They don't have to be together, so you can just have a book with E and H in the title. I tried to find a book with actual A in, like EH, couldn't find one anywhere. The closer you can get the E and the H together in the title obviously is better, but you just need to have E and H in the title basically. Then the next challenge is to read a female author, the next one is to read an indigenous author, and then the next one is to read a book based in a province in Canada that you have not been to. So if you've never been to Canada, that's going to be real easy for you. Yeah, so I'm just going to get straight into the books that I've picked. I didn't realise I've actually read a lot of, I feel like this camera's really, there you go. I've actually read a lot of Canadian literature without realising. I did like a quick search on Canadian authors, and a lot of the books that I've read already are Canadian authors and I had no idea, so that's been quite interesting for me. But this time around I wanted to read stuff I wouldn't normally go to, or I just wanted to pick anything. So I sort of like I looked up Canadian authors, I googled them and I read some of the blurbs of the books, and then I was kind of like, yeah, I'm going to pick that, I want to read that. So there wasn't like much thought gone into it, I just wanted to try something new and to just grab whatever just spoke to me. So I've gotten just a mishmash of random books from authors that I've never heard of before, but I think that's why this readathon's really good, because it's really like introducing you to new authors and new styles of writing, hopefully. So the idea of the readathon is just to expose yourself to Canadian authors, so for all of the challenges it has to obviously be a Canadian author. So yeah, we'll just crack right into it. I found so many books I wanted to read, and the thing I found most surprising was that a lot of them were indigenous authors, so there's a lot that I want to read after the readathon that I'm going to look into, because obviously I could only really have one. I've actually got two, but I could only have one like book for that challenge because obviously I wanted to meet all the other challenges. I love Canada as well, like I would love to live in Canada. I'm actually doing a degree in occupational therapy, and as part of OT there's the World Federation of Occupational Therapists, and you can actually like get a job in Canada. Like I could legit move to Canada and do OT in Canada, which is so exciting, and it's something I really want to do at some point in my life. I would really love to spend some time in Canada. I absolutely freaking love it, like just love it. So yeah, the first book that I'm going to talk about is covering the indigenous author part of the challenge, and there is actually E and H in the title, but they're quite far between each other, so I'm probably not going to count it, and that is Indian Horse by, is it going to zoom in there? there we go, Richard Wagamis, I think is how you say his name. And I love this book. This is just making me so happy. It's so like, focus on me, thank you. It's so aesthetically pleasing. It just arrived and it was all like shiny and crisp, like it's just been printed really like crisply, and it's one of those like floppy books that just makes me like really happy inside. I don't know, this book is just giving me all the feels right now. So yeah, this book's basically about a boy called Saul Indian Horse, and him and his family basically retreat to the woods in order to reconnect with their sort of half forgotten culture and rituals and things like that. And then something happens to him. Authorities have been kidnapping Ojibwe youths, and then as winter approaches, bad stuff happens to him and he is thrown into a completely different life. So he has to go to a boarding school in which he's not really accepted by the people there, and he experiences a lot of bullying. He forms a connection with, I think, one of the teachers there, and he gets into hockey. So it's kind of like a coming of age story about somebody who feels like, you know, they're a bit different and don't really fit in with the environment they've been shoved into. And also, obviously I've not read it, so I can only speculate what it's going to be about, but like if he was moving with his family to orientate himself with their forgotten culture and traditions, he might not know that much about his traditions and where he comes from, and is that going to be difficult alongside all of this new culture and this new way of living that he's being exposed to at this boarding school. And I think it's going to be interesting tale about your own identity and sort of a coming of age, questioning yourself and where you fit in the world kind of thing. I'm really interested to read it. I think it's going to be really good. I think it's been turned into a film as well. Unfortunately the author has passed away, I think. Yeah, I would be quite interested in seeing the film. I think it came out in 2017, but obviously I need to read the book first. So yeah, that covers a couple of the challenges. So looking at the next book that I want to read, the other Indigenous author book, but however it does also cover the Red on the Cover challenge. Has it got E and H? It's also got E and H in the title, so it does cover that as well. And that book is The Orenda by Joseph Boyden. And can we just like, I bought this used, but it said that it was like new, and this to me, like, you wouldn't pick this off of a bookshelf like this, would you? No, you would not. No. So a bit annoyed about that. But yeah, I'm quite interested in this book. Like, I read the blurb online and it sounded really interesting. So it's set in the 1940s in the New World, and it's basically about two different fighting tribes, and a guy called Bird from the Huron Nation tribe kidnaps what's she called? Snowfalls from another tribe, and I don't know if he's trying to, basically some like bad shit has happened to him and he lost like his family somehow. I don't know how, that's revealed in the blurb, and she reminds him of his daughter. So I don't know if he's kidnapped her as a way to try and form an allegiance with the other tribe, that he's going to try and get her on his side and then form an allegiance with them. I don't know. I don't know anything about the book. I'm only speculating by reading the inside of the cover. And then there's a missionary called Christoph who's travelling with them. And I think it's about the relationship of the three of them and sort of what happens with these two fighting tribes. And then I think a threat appears, it says a dangerous threat appears from afar, so I don't know whether the two tribes are going to have to like form an allegiance in order to address this other threat. I don't know, but it sounds really interesting. I'm looking forward to reading it. I like the bottom of this. It says, as these three souls dance with each other through intricately woven acts of duplicity, their social, political and spiritual worlds collide, and a new nation rises from a world in flux. I like that. I think that's written like really beautifully. So I'm really looking forward to reading this, but it's fucking thick. Like, look how thick this is. I didn't realise when I bought it the immense scale of what I would be reading. It's like 500 pages long and I have to read this in a day, so I'm a bit nervous about that. And the next book that I want to read, I'm a bit confused about this one because I looked up Canadian authors and this author came up in the list, but when I actually googled it, it said she's an American author, but I think it also said that she has like dual nationality, she is Canadian as well, so I don't know whether that counts for the challenge or whether it's like cheating, but I really want to read the book, it sounds really good, so I'm just going to count it anyway. And that covers the challenge of Red on the cover. It's also got Ian H in the title and it's by a female author, and that is A Tale for the Time Being by Ruth Ozeki. And there's the like, oops, my bookmark. There's the full thing. I also got a free bookmark with it, so I was pretty chuffed about that. Focus on me, camera, please. Thank you. Yeah, I wanted to pick this up because I read the blurb, it sounded really good, and I'm quite interested in reading books about Japanese, Asian culture type thing. One of my favourite authors is Haruki Murakami, you can see his books there, so I will read anything to do with that sort of thing, I just like it. So, and this is, it sounds a bit weird, I don't know quite what it's about. Basically, there's a girl called Now, and I think she experiences sort of bullying at her school, and I'm not sure she really wants to exist anymore, so there is sort of a trigger warning of like suicidal thoughts and things like that. I don't know because I haven't read it yet, but I'm assuming there is. And she basically keeps a diary, like before, I think before she wants to end her life, she kind of wants to document it. And then I think across the ocean a girl called Ruth may find this writing. She basically finds like a Hello Kitty lunchbox and it's got stuff in it, and it arrived on the waves of a tsunami that happened, I think, where Now is living. So I don't know whether she unearths some of Now's writings. This is what I've read on a like blurb of the book. I don't know much about what actually happens, but it says on the back, within the pages of this book lies the diary of a girl called Now, riding the waves of a tsunami. It is making its way across the ocean and it will change the life of the person who finds it. So I'm assuming that Ruth does find Now's diary shortly after a tsunami hits where she lives, and I suppose it's about the life of Now and how what Ruth reads about her impacts on her existence. Again, it's quite a hefty book, it's 400 pages, so yeah, we'll see how well we get on with this one. I've picked so many thick books, I don't know why I did that. So the next book that I want to read actually ticks off a shit ton of the challenges. I've been wanting to read this book for a while. I've heard of the title and I kind of loosely know something about what the book's about, and it's always been in the back of my mind like as something that I want to read, but I've never picked it up, so I thought now would be a perfect time to do so. And this covers the challenge of, it covers like nearly all of the challenges actually, apart from the province one I think. So it covers Red on the Cover challenge, it's written by a female author, and it has Ian H in the title. I think that's all of them actually. And the E and the H is actually together. I didn't realise this, but Books and Lala has this on her TBR, and she pointed out that the E and the H are actually like together, although in separate words they're like together. So the book that I'm reading is Do Not Say We Have Nothing, and as you can see, the E of the we and the H of the have is together, so that makes me happy. Yeah, and this book again, I don't really know much about what it's about. Basically, it's set in 1990 and it follows the story of a young girl and her mother during the times of the Tiananmen Square protests during under the rule of Chairman Mao and the revolutionary idealism. And it's sort of like, I don't know what it's about. I think it just follows their life during that like turbulent time basically and what happens to them. But obviously I'm quite interested in that sort of political history of that side of like culture, so I'm really looking forward to reading it. I might be really surprised, it might not be anything like what I think it is, but I'm still looking forward to reading it. So yeah, that is on. It's really thick as well, so what have I done to myself? Okay, and the last book that I want to read covers the challenge of Red on the cover. It's also set in a province of Canada, so it covers that as well, and it's written by a female author. It's also YA, it's the first YA on my TBR, so I'm quite excited about that, and that is A Complicated Kindness by Miriam Tuez? Don't quite know how you say that. And it's basically, again, like a coming of age story about a girl called Nomi, and I think she kind of wants to be like a bohemian, hanging around in New York and doing like cool shit, but she lives in like a dead end town in somewhere in Canada, in East Village, Manitoba, and apparently there's nothing there, like it's just a shit place to live, and the only job you can get is working in a chicken slaughter factory, and I think her mother and sister have moved away and she's living with her father, and I think it's just about her fighting against, as it says on the back, fighting against the restraints of the town and wanting to be something more than what your circumstances are allowing for you. So I'm really looking forward to reading that and what happens to her. It's sort of like, I think it resonates with people that sort of like are living in an area where they don't necessarily have as many opportunities as you would have if you were living in a big city, and that I find that quite interesting, so I'm looking forward to reading that one, and it's nice and thin, so yeah. So yeah, technically, if anything, I'd like to prioritise these two because they cover quite a few of the challenges, and I'm also want to read this one. So if we read these three, we'd cover all of the challenges. So yeah, I'm concentrating on these, and if I can get to the other two, I will try to. So yeah, thanks for watching my video, guys, on my TBR. Let me know if you're reading any of these books, and be sure to check out the hosts. I will put links down below to all of their channels with their announcement videos and their TBR videos, and if you need some inspiration you can go to their videos to see what sort of stuff they're reading. And we're also going to be following along with each other on Twitter, #Read-Eh-Thon. And the hosts are also doing giveaways, so be sure to check them out if you want to be in a chance of winning something, and the prizes are actually really fucking cool, so make sure you have a look at their videos. I think some of them are only for Canadian residents and some are for outside of Canada, so be sure to check those out, and also give them a subscribe. I was already subscribed to 3 of the host channels, and through the Read-Eh-Thon I've been able to find more that I want to subscribe to, which has been really nice. So that's already been a benefit of the Read-Eh-Thon for me. I'm really looking forward to going on Twitter and seeing what all of you guys are reading, and it might be that I add it to my TBR after the Read-A-Thon is over, so it's really exciting. And I'm also going to be doing a vlog. I'll probably put it into a week's wrap up, and I'm going to be starting at midnight tonight, so that's really exciting, and I'll see you guys at the end of the Read-A-Thon, so July 9th I think. I'm actually working like every day through the Read-A-Thon, so I don't know how well this is going to go, but we'll see. Wish me luck. Good luck to you guys. Hope you manage to read all the books that you want to read, and I will catch you in the next video.